I wanna reach out for help, but I'm reminded, no, I can't trust anybody because somebody who I thought I could trust, they violated that last time I accepted it. Last time I let them in, they violated it, so I can't trust them. No, I don't want no help. I'm good. I'm good. I don't want no help. So I start building a fence up. And as I build this fence up, it ain't no pretty white picket fence either. It's some raw iron fence with some spikes at the top and a little dog emblem in the middle, right? To keep everybody out, because I don't want you to think you're welcome here. Because I've been hurt too much and now I'm trapped. I'm trapped in this pain. All these emotions that I felt, I want to do something with it and I want to get help, but I can't get help and I just don't know what to do. And what I found, a lot of times what we do, we find a way to numb it. Imagine, throughout life we form these stories, right? And so the stories we form happens from life experiences. And so what we do, imagine I was molested. My story is I was molested by a family friend. And so now I'm feeling uneasy in my skin. Now I'm feeling like I'm feeling confused because all these emotions are coming up. I'm not feeling like I'm not feeling like I'm inside my body. It's just I'm confused. I really don't know what I'm feeling. And so I might start thinking to myself like I'm worthless. I might start thinking to myself that the only time somebody wants to be with me is for my body or for sex. That's the only time anybody will ever give me attention. Imagine we have a story of I was bullied. I was bullied and I was teased that I was fat. Or my body wasn't pretty enough, my hair wasn't pretty enough, my skin was too ugly, and all the time growing up I was teased. And so now with this story I'm growing up just thinking I'm not enough, I'm ugly. Thinking that I'll never be pretty enough, thinking that I'll never look good enough. I never look like them that I see on the TV. That could just never be me. So we form these stories, and with these stories we start forming this way of thinking. And imagine we have a story of my dad left me at an early age. And because my dad left me at an early age, my mom was going through her stuff, and she couldn't be there to give me attention because she chose drugs over me. She chose meth over me, her own child. So the people that was supposed to be around to show me love, they was unavailable to me. My dad left me. If I was good enough, he wouldn't have left me. If I was worth loving, my mom wouldn't choose the drugs over me. And so we form these stories, and with these stories we start forming a way of thinking. And how many of us ever say this to ourselves? People see us going to school, people see us going to work, and they may see us coming in with a smile on our face, with a little pep in our step, and we think to ourselves, they just don't know what I have to go to when I go home. They just don't know the pain I carry around. How many of us ever have any thoughts like that? Right? So sometimes when we going around, it's something in us that we carry, and it's like a big weight on our shoulders, and we feel like we can't go to anyone for help. And oftentimes we have a goal. I say all of us have a goal to reach. How many of us has a goal that we try to reach, that we know is something greater meant for us, that we're not supposed to stay here where we're at, but it's something that we're supposed to do, and I just don't know what it is yet, but I know it's something greater than what I'm doing now. How many of us have that? Right? And so imagine this child surrounded by all these stories, growing up, and they have a goal to reach. They know that they're not supposed to just stay stuck in their circumstance. Something about it just don't feel right. It don't match them, and they want to reach their goal, but as soon as they go to reach their goal, they remember, like, wait, I'm unlovable. They go to reach their goal, and then they bump into their story, and they're reminded, like, wait, I'm too ugly to reach that. Somebody that look better than me supposed to go for that goal. It doesn't belong to me. I don't deserve that. And then I still try and go to reach my goal, and I bump into my story, like, wait, I'm not good enough for that. I'm only good for sex. That's the only time people will pay attention to me. And so what happens? We end up being trapped in our stories. We want to go and we want to grow, but we're constantly reminded of our story, so we can't go anywhere. I want to reach out for help, but I'm reminded, no, I can't trust anybody, because somebody who I thought I could trust, they violated that last time I accepted it. Last time I let them in, they violated it, so I can't trust them. No, I don't want no help. I'm good. I don't want no help. So I start building a fence up. And as I build this fence up, it ain't no pretty white picket fence either. It's some raw iron fence with some spikes at the top and a little dog emblem in the middle, right? To keep everybody out, because I don't want you to think you're welcome here. Because I've been hurt too much, and now I'm trapped. I'm trapped in this pain. All these emotions that I felt, I want to do something with it, and I want to get help, but I can't get help, and I just don't know what to do. And what I found, a lot of times what we do, we find a way to numb it. And that's why many people either use drugs. That's why they get so hooked on weed or drinking. Or sometimes some of us could get a little... Sometimes our fences and the things that we use to medicate can be a little sexy, so they're a little bit more socially acceptable. So I may just one way I numb or get rid of this feeling, I may just have sex all the time, or I may go from relationship to relationship trying to heal what's inside and feel it that way. And so I'm trapped and doing all these different behaviors, and I'm not going anywhere. And so that's why I call it thug child, because it's a child inside that was hurt, a child inside that was confused, a child inside that was violated, a child inside that wasn't loved how they thought they should have been loved, and they're crying. And that child is reaching out. They want somebody to help, but they scared to let anybody in. So they build this fence. And so what I learned is in order for me to help them, I have to be willing to go through this barrier. I have to be willing to go through some resistance in order to reach them. But when I try to reach the child, and when I try to reach in, they tell I can't do it because they slapping my hand out the way, or I get a little closer and they say, no, I don't trust nobody. I don't trust nobody. That's one of the favorite phrases in where I work at. I don't trust nobody. And now I see why, and I understand, so I keep trying, and sometimes when I get close enough, I pull my hand out. Because when I'm reaching in, and I imagine I'm reaching in like this bush of thorns trying to reach the child inside, and I'm reaching in, and it's feeling uncomfortable, because feelings start coming up for me. And as soon as these feelings come up for me, I back off. It was a time, I told y'all I was raised by a single mother. And growing up, because I achieved this goal, a lot of young men look up to me and tell me, like, hey, would you, how did you get here? They want to connect. They want to find out more about me. They need some guidance themselves, and sometimes they reach out and want that guidance. They reach out and want to hear from me, but I'm thinking in my head, like, from me? You talking to me? Like, don't look up to me. You don't know what goes on behind my black curtain that y'all don't see. Like, don't look up to me. But me being who I am, I accept that hand and I connect with them. I get their numbers, and I say, okay, let's hang out one day. I'm gonna call you. We're gonna hang out, and I go through this process, and what I found time and time again. Guess who was let down? No, this not a monologue. I want a conversation. Guess who was let down? Me. But I was let down by me because I let them down. I didn't connect. I didn't pick up the phone and call. And I'm wondering, like, you want to help. You able to help. It's just a simple phone call. Why do you keep letting them down? And what I realized, I had to go back into where I learned commitment from. The man that I wanted commitment from, who I said I'll never be like, I'll never do what he did to me, my father, because I never resolved that. I'm end up repeating the same thing. How many of us ever find ourselves asking the same question, like, dang, why I keep doing that? Like, dang, I told myself just an hour ago I was going to stop, and I end up doing it again. How many of us can relate to that? Right? We keep repeating the same behavior over and over again, and that's what I found. I kept repeating this behavior. And so what I learned is that I was unable to help these people. I was unable to help who was reaching out. I was unable to help who was coming across my path. And the reason I was unable to help them because I didn't learn how to help myself. I didn't get the help that I need. I'm sitting there trying to rescue a child that's crying, and my child in me is crying. I didn't give no attention to me. And so I couldn't connect. And so what I learned is that with all these stories that goes on, that I had to learn, because it has to come from me. I had to learn that instead of getting stuck in my story, I had to learn to stand on my story. Because when I stand on my story, I'm no longer trapped. I use my stories to lift me up to a higher place so that I can get a better position on my goal that I'm trying to reach. I use my stories to lift me up higher so that I can see better, that I can see what help and what ways I can get myself involved and how I can reach my goal. And so a lot of them, I can imagine, is asking me, how did you get there? How did you get there? And sometimes I don't even know what to tell them, because half the time I was still stuck in my story. But it wasn't until I learned how to stand on my story that I was able to tell them how I got there. Because they down here like, dang, you way up there. How you get up there? Like, I want to do that, but I'm scared. I want to let go of this story, but I don't know. Like, it's hard. I don't know how to do it. And so that they're asking me, in order for me to be able to help them and tell them how to get out of that story, how to stand on that story. I had to learn how to do it myself. And I'm going to tell you, that's not easy. Because that means I'm dealing with my ish, right? That means I'm dealing with my emotions that I've been stuffing down for years after years after years. And I was able to do that. I was able to stuff my stuff for so long because I knew how to make my fences look pretty. I knew how to make them look sexy, right? And socially acceptable. So nobody would think I was going through all of this and I could get away with it. A lot of the times the people I work with and come across, they can't get away with it because it's getting them in jail. They can't get away with it because it's causing them to use hard substances and getting them involved in the law. It's causing them to get involved with the Department of Child and Family Services, so they can't get away with it. And it's simply, it's not because they have stories and I don't. It's just because my stories just look better, and so it could get away with anything, almost anything. But I know there's better. And so instead of trying to be a fake telling them, nah, you got to get out of that story, you got to let that go. I had to be real with myself and tell myself, no, I got to let go of my stories. And when I learn to do that, then I can help them.
Godchild.com